Call of Duty World War II may be the Call of Duty at the moment that finally brought us back to the boots on the ground style of gameplay, but at the footstep of 2018, we often find ourselves looking back at the golden era of Call of Duties and use them as a benchmark to compare to when deciding if a Call of Duty game is good or not. Call of Duty Black Ops had a lot of hype surrounding it when it was announced. Modern Warfare 2 was booming, and the dedication to the Call of Duty franchise was a force that didn't seem like it could be stopped. But did Black Ops live up to the hype? 7 years have passed, but how does this game hold up now in late 2017, early 2018? If you were to play this game for the first time ever, or return to this game 7 years later, how would it hold up? Is the multiplayer even still playable today? Which console is best for this game? My name is Elijah and I'm here with Luke, and today on Rocket Sloth we are taking a look back at Call of Duty Black Ops.
Call of Duty Black Ops released in 2010 and was a direct sequel to Call of Duty World at War. They branded this game with a new title, more centralized to the plot of its story, mostly because World at War 2 would have sounded weird. But even though the game's single player takes some characters from World at War and continues some storylines, it is for the most part self-contained. So if you haven't played through World at War yet, even though we highly recommend you to check it out, it's a great game, you should be fine just jumping into the story, you just may miss a few callbacks.
But looking directly at the campaign, it was terrific. Without spoiling too much on a 7-year-old game, this campaign takes players on a gripping, action-packed narrative that also has a lot of elements of a psychological thriller, which really serves as a great storytelling technique. In other Call of Duty campaigns before Black Ops, the story and levels were pretty generic in the first half of the game, but in Black Ops, Treyarch made it a point to include something unique in every mission, and that made the game memorable from start to finish.
This game focuses on the story of Alex Mason, who is held captive and must recall on his past to put together pieces of the story. By using a flashback style of storytelling, Treyarch was able to make time jumps in the narrative that allowed for more key missions and plot lines, without having to fill the in-between levels with a bunch of filler content. This takes players from missions during Cold War, forward to Vietnam, and even back to World War II. This also allows for the NPC characters to be really fleshed out. And while a campaign like Modern Warfare 2 did a really good job at making NPCs that players bonded with, Black Ops takes time to individually establish characteristics, emotions, and personality traits, which is really appreciated. The single player story alone is outstanding, and there are some pretty big story elements that really surprised us when we played it for the first time. Black Ops also looks really good for a 7-year-old game. Yes, it might not have the sharpness and clear color palette that Modern Warfare 2 had, but this game has its own unique grading style, which looks pretty good here. The whole art style fits the setting of the game perfectly. This story is about 7.5 hours, which is a pretty great length, considering a lot of the Call of Duty games are really short.
Shifting gears to the multiplayer aspect of this Call of Duty, the game does a good job at innovating some of the mechanics in Create a Class and really focused on balancing the weapons, but also missed a few points here and there. The Create a Class system in Black Ops is probably my favorite. They finally removed stopping power, which essentially puts everyone on the same playing field, which freed up a perk slot for more than just having to keep up with everyone else's stopping power. They also made it where some of your perks decide what your soldier looks like, which is a really cool addition. Unlocking face paint was actually a cool aspect as well, and the multiplayer shifted to a currency system which was unique to anything we had seen so far, but also welcome, as it lets you unlock only what you want, instead of having to wait to unlock the stuff that you don't really care about. The maps are pretty unique in this game, and for the most part I really enjoyed the map design here. My only complaint is there are a lot of snow levels. Like, in the base game, 5 of the 14 maps are snow maps, which means the color palette on a lot of the multiplayer maps are really similar, which makes the game feel a little repetitive. But I'll happily take the 14 maps over the 9 that we get in newer Call of Duties like World War II. But the abundance of snow maps was just kind of weird, and they kept adding more snow maps with the DLC that came out later on.
And while you will get a lot of enjoyment out of the multiplayer, Black Ops also changed some things from previous titles that maybe didn't need to be changed too much. I guess Treyarch wanted to nerf the amount of no-scoping and quick-scoping, so sniper rifles feel really heavy in this game, and it doesn't always make sense where your bullets travel to. Explosions are also severely nerfed, which can be really frustrating, for example when you throw the perfect grenade and you only get like a hit marker. I get that Modern Warfare 2 had over-the-top explosions and sniping, but they may have dialed down this just slightly too far. Also on the PC version, the server browser feels really clunky. You can find games, there are at least like 20 servers open at any given moment, but it's just not really polished. This however is not an issue on consoles. PlayStation 3 has still some servers going, but it can take a while to find a game, and that's why we would recommend the Xbox 360 version, as it can be played on the Xbox One, which means there's still a pretty active player base. Don't get me wrong, playing online is still a lot of fun, and it's your standard Call of Duty multiplayer experience from back in the day. But like most Call of Duties, it just doesn't come without its flaws.
But if you can't find a game or you need to take a break from trying to play against other people, you also can play against bots, which is actually a really cool feature in this game. I really enjoy just putting the bots on the lowest difficulty and playing on a team by myself against a bunch of bots. And it's fun to just feel like you are the best Call of Duty player in the world and get to chain a bunch of kill streaks together and use a bunch of guns that maybe you wouldn't normally use in multiplayer because they're not practical. The bot mode might seem like a weird concept at first, but trust me, give it a try. It's actually really fun for some reason, and you can play it with friends who aren't bots, but against the bots, and it's just a cool feature to have in this game. But the great thing about Call of Duty Black Ops is you really are getting your bang for your buck. Besides campaign and multiplayer, we also have zombie mode, and man is it fun. Black Ops took this fun game mode from World at War and really polished it up and made it an extremely addicting game type. The zombies are fixed from World at War, so you don't have to worry about randomly getting double hitted as often, and that's really nice. The game comes with 2 base zombie maps, one of which you have to beat the campaign to get, which is really cool but also really challenging. 5 has players in a pentagon playing as some pretty big historic faces as they face off against zombies, while Kino der Toten has the original zombie characters from Shi no Numa and Der Riese from World at War, who return to fight the undead. Kino is by far the better zombie map of the 2, and mind you, this is back when zombies weren't overly complicated with long Easter eggs and still focused on how long you could survive instead of trying to beat it or complete the Easter egg, and it led to it being really addicting with more replay value. There are guns all over the walls, ranging from some of the classic World at War guns like the MP40 to the newer guns found in Black Ops. I've spent so much time playing on this zombie map, and it's really fun to coordinate with your friends if you're going to all camp together and fend off the undead, or split up and train zombies in your own specific corridor. It can get pretty chaotic, but if you communicate and master your strategy, you can make it pretty far. The furthest I ever got on Kino was level 30 in a group, and that's a pretty good achievement to make, but mind you, this was back in the older days of Call of Duty. I haven't actually gotten that far in recent time, but it's a good goal to have, and it's a little bit harder to do it with friends than in solo, but it's much more fun with friends. Seriously, zombie mode leaves so much for replayability, and join our Discord, link in the description, if you ever want to play zombies with us.
There's also a secret Dead Ops arcade minigame as well that gives it the over-the-top gameplay perspective to zombies and plays exactly like one of the old arcade games. It gets really hard on higher levels, but it's just another bonus this game has. As far as DLCs are concerned, this game has 4 DLC packs, but because the multiplayer isn't as populated as it once was, we really can't recommend buying the DLCs, as there's only a low chance you will find a lobby that even accepts DLC maps. But the Resurrection map pack might be a great buy if you're a Zombies fan. It includes the 4 zombie maps from World at War, which are really good maps, and they include a good mix of old and new weapons. And the DLC pack also includes a new map, or at least new for 7 years ago when the whole outer space thing wasn't overdone in every Call of Duty. Anyways, the zombie map Moon is really challenging and fun at the same time. And I don't know, it just has something unique about it with the whole moon-based setting. Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La are good maps too, but they aren't really worth buying the whole DLC packs for, since you only get one zombie map with them. Even though Ascension especially is a really fun map too. Black Ops overall is pretty overpriced when it comes to buying it on Steam though, normally sitting at $40, which is a lot of money for a 7-year-old game. But if you use a key site, you can get the game for $5 to $10. Obviously, there are a lot of key sites out there and you can choose the one you trust the most. Both of us bought the game again for this video, and we both used G2A, which we never had a problem with, so we would recommend that personally.
Overall, even though this game is 7 years old, buying this game gives you a full package, an outstanding campaign, a standard multiplayer experience that, don't get me wrong, is still really fun, and one of the best zombie experiences in all of Call of Duty history. This game gets an 8 out of 10 on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and a close 7.5 out of 10 on PC and PS3. The Xbox version of the game being backwards compatible really allows for a larger player base to see the game and play the game, which lets you find games easier. The PC has the hardest time finding a game with their server browser system, and the PS3 has slightly a harder time, but there's still some lobbies around. But mind you, this is a 7-year-old game and there's a lot more than just the multiplayer overall. This game is absolutely worth the buy if you can get it for the right price.
Well, that's it for this video. We hope you enjoyed our review of Call of Duty Black Ops. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts on Black Ops are and what game we should review next. And don't forget to subscribe to Rocket Sloth. Thanks for watching.